If awareness alone creates reality, then why do spiritual teachers still have YouTube channels? Think about it. If the minute you realize your source, everyone else is automatically source too, then shouldn't the whole simulation just instantly wake up? No videos needed, no 5-step programs, just global enlightenment. But that's not what happens, so let's dig into why. Awareness is the background code of the simulation. It's what lets anything exist in the first place. But awareness doesn't just spread like Wi-Fi. It filters through avatars, through nervous systems, subconscious loops, family conditioning, probability fields. So yes, you are source, you are God. But the version of source you experience is filtered through your avatar. That's why you can be fully aware, yet still walk past someone who doesn't see it at all. Here's the missing piece. Awareness is the blank screen. Thoughts are the code. Emotions are the electricity that runs through the avatar. Awareness by itself is peaceful, but static. Thoughts give it direction. Emotions give it power. Together, they actually render the simulation. So even if one teacher is aware that they're God, source, unless that awareness becomes thought plus emotion, communicated through symbols, speech, repetition, it won't ripple through to other avatars. Let's dive a little bit deeper into thoughts versus emotion versus awareness. Everyone always argues about what really creates reality. Is it shifting? Is it awareness? Is it thought? Is it emotion? The truth is they're all part of the same pipeline. The simulation runs on a 3-layer operating system. And if you don't understand how these layers interact, you can actually see why some manifestations work and why some don't. So layer 1 is awareness, which is the screen. Awareness is not a thought. It's not a feeling. It's the field on which both appear. Think of it like the blank screen of the simulation. Before any code runs, there's just space. In non-dual terms, this is source. In neuroscience, it's the global workspace of consciousness. Awareness doesn't do anything. It just is. But without it, nothing else can appear. So let's talk about thoughts. Thoughts are the scripts written on the screen of awareness. They're fast, repetitive, and often automatic. What if I fail? Or this is exciting. They are not you. They are just packets of code trying to run. You've probably heard this a million times. You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just a tool. Thoughts create direction, like an arrow pointing somewhere in the simulation, but on their own, they're weak. A thought without fuel is just text on a page. So let's talk about the third layer, which is emotion, which is the rendering engine. Emotion is what happens when a thought gets embodied. Chemistry fires. Dopamine in anticipation, cortisol for any threats, serotonin for safety, and norepinephrine for focus. Emotion is the current that makes the simulation render code. This is why imagination and feeling is so powerful. You are not just thinking it. You are letting your avatar run the program. If you actually got everything you immediately were aware that you thought of in this simulation, your mind would blow. I had the experience from an extremely young age what it feels like to access the code, and it is mind-blowing. I was shocked that I didn't walk away from that scenario altered or not mentally being the same because of the phenomena that I saw and witnessed at that age, not knowing what was happening. So I know for free that it would be insane if you just had awareness and then a thought all in one sweep. It is everything yet nothing. It's all the thoughts yet none of the thoughts. So you don't need thoughts to be aware, and you don't need emotions to be aware. Yet in the simulation, due to the nature of this environment, those do create experiences in the future, hence why your dreams are a simulation training ground. When you go back to it all, you would, yes, assume that if you are source in God, once you become aware, you would just declare everybody else is aware and it just automatically calculated for you every time. It's almost as if the simulation just wants to know if you're serious. Is this something that you really want? Is this really an experience that you want to have? Or is it just a passing thought? So with that train of thought, then everybody should just then be aware. You don't have to make any more videos. We don't have to talk about anything anymore. We can all just shut it down because everybody should automatically then know. But this is not the case in the simulation. So it's just a moment to step back and recognize sometimes when teachers are talking about some of these different concepts at large, there is more tangible denseness, feelingness to things. It isn't just all about mind and awareness. There is experience and there is feeling to be had in the simulation. I'm not saying that you have to let feeling and emotion run or drive your avatar, because that's obviously not what you always want to do. You want to have a balance of both the left and right side of your brain, which also starts to create heart and mind and gut coherence. It's everything. It's not just one thing. It's your nervous system. It's your gut. It's your entire avatar and your thoughts, which are your tools to drive your avatar in the direction you want to go. It's all a system in place. These teachers are actually showing you a pattern and you don't even recognize it. Every time they upload to YouTube, it is them creating their own rhythmic pattern of timeline shifting, of quote unquote manifesting. They're manifesting you to go and give them awareness and observation and focus and attention over their information. So just remember this when you are listening to some of these teachers that sound a little bit more like spiritual bypassing. I've noticed that a lot in the community, and sometimes it just makes you feel as if your experience that's lived is only like just a story you're telling yourself. And while that is to a certain degree truthful, you can assign more tangibility to say that ongoing thoughts, patterns, and behaviors shape your reality, not just one single point. So let's wrap that all together. Awareness is the sky, thought is the cloud, emotion is the storm that makes the rain fall into 3D reality. So if you stayed in awareness only, you would reach peace, but nothing else changes. If you stayed in thoughts only, you'd loop forever overthinking. If you let thought generate emotion, then the simulation has frequency to replicate. So awareness sparks, thought codes, emotion renders. So let's talk a little bit about a practical example there. Awareness is sitting quietly, noticing I exist. Thought is I'm quote unquote winning the race. Emotion is feeling the adrenaline, the lungs pumping, and the excitement as if you're already there. Why would you want to ignore that? That's the point of why we're in the simulation. And that's where it tilts. So you are not your thoughts. You are not even your emotions. You're the awareness holding them both. But in the simulation, awareness writes the possibility, thoughts script the pattern, and emotions press play. So don't throw any of them out. Use all of them. Spark with awareness, aim with thought, and power it with emotion. And that's really how your timeline shifts. Because that's why teachers have channels. Because awareness alone doesn't jump bodies. It needs pattern, ritual, repetition. In other words, frequency. Ironically, when someone says you don't need ritual, you don't need repetition, you only need awareness, but then uploads a video every week, that's the ritual. That is the repetition. They're using frequency, whether they admit it or not. Their very channel proves they're teaching incomplete. Awareness wants to express a sound, image, community, fractals spreading across the simulation. So in simulation terms, each of us is a node in the fractal. You get updates that spread through signals, language, imagery, emotions. That's why rituals work. That's why breathwork works. That's why even YouTube videos work, because they're patterns repeated over time shaping collective awareness. Frequency is just awareness learning how to broadcast itself through avatars. So my final thoughts are, if awareness alone was enough, then we'd all be enlightened right now. The fact that teachers are still teaching proves that the simulation runs on repetitions, symbols, and frequency. So don't throw out the tools. Awareness is the starting line, but what you repeat in thought, what you feel in emotion, that's what writes the code your avatar walks through. Because in the end, awareness without expression is silence. Awareness with frequency, now that creates shifts. So I know everybody enjoyed this video, and until the next time, guys, I know you will all continue to manifest magic and resonate on your highest frequency. Bye, guys.